to unable to make it. Okay, all right, well, okay, let's get started. Now, today is actually the third monthly TLS coaching class of our 12 weeks program, and we've actually gone through quite a fair bit in terms of low glycemic impact eating, the eating side of things, and then we talked a bit about the body composition, which is of course about exercise, and then with the scientific supplementation, nutrition, and all that. So as I mentioned, you know, there are actually the triangle. Of course, we have the 4 pillars, but then when we talk about the 3 different important areas of our TLS, the first is of course about food, the second is about exercise and body composition and nutrition. The third part is what we call the mindset, because you know, a lot of times when people think about weight management or wellness, majority of people only focus on the food side of things as well as the exercise side of things, right, or nutrition. However, it's very important for us all to understand that, you know, our mindset, our mentality is equally as important, if not more, than only about food and exercise. So that's why, you know, for the last session, which was this week's homework video, quite a number of you actually have watched it, which I'm very happy to see, because you've actually posted in our WhatsApp group about your learning, some of you, and your takeaways, which was fantastic. And I want to applaud Brian here. Brian had like, what, 16 points, yeah, which was fantastic. And that was about believing in yourself. So that was the very first topic of our upcoming 5 weeks. Yep. Thumbs up for you, Brian. And for the next 4 weeks, we are going to be also talking about mindset. Just like anything else, whether it's to do with your work, your business, your weight management, your relationship, your personal development, anything really, mindset is extremely important. And of course, you know, when we want to be healthy, when we're going through this journey of total well-being, mindset is very, very crucial. So that's why tonight, that is what we're going to be focused on talking about, with the very first important topic on overcoming obstacles. Because when we are actually wanting to have a good way of handling challenges, we really need to overcome the obstacles. And so mindset plays an important part of it. So after tonight, being Monday of our monthly coaching, I'm going to be sending you this week's homework video, which is exactly about overcoming obstacles. In fact, apart from the actual weekly video, I also did a live video on a special, you know, I did it actually in my own Facebook group. I can send that over. If you have time, I know that many of you are busy, but if you have time, I would encourage you to watch that as well. So what I'd like to discuss with you before I get started is if you guys have any questions at all, you know that there is, of course, chat bar underneath group chat. If you want to actually put it in, any question that you have, I can go back at the end of our discussion and you'll be able to ask me, and then I can talk about it. Hello, Michelle, good to see you there. All right, so first of all, there are 4 different things that we want to talk about tonight, apart from, of course, the main topics. As I mentioned, you know, the video about overcoming obstacles, that will be something I'm going to be posting in our WhatsApp group and Facebook group that you can watch. And again, the same thing like any other week, that you'll be able to actually, you know, go through and then write down your learnings or your takeaways, okay? Then number 2 is Q&A, and I've already in advance before tonight asked you guys to type in, especially for those that are not on live tonight some concerns that may have in terms of overcoming obstacles. So we can discuss a little bit of that after we do the discussion. And but for now, if any of you can think of any obstacles or challenges that you're going through in your weight loss and wellness journey, please feel free to type it into your Zoom group chat and we can discuss a little bit more later. And is there anyone from this group since our last monthly meeting 4 weeks ago used any new products? If you do, if you can just type it into the group chat. I would like to see if you've experienced any differences in terms of the products, as well as any new testimonies after using it, because I generally realize that when people, whether they're doing the 30-day jumpstart, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or 12 weeks, when people add in, 1 or two new products, they generally can see some differences. So a lot of people are not aware, but it's very, very common when we get to a point of our weight journey and we actually go through what we call like plateau, and new products, new exercises, new menu plans or recipes, and new ways of doing things can actually break, in our case, we call it boredom, but in fact, it's not boredom. But because of the way that we do things are so universal all the time, if we actually do new things that really can break the wiring of our brain, if you like, or in fact, our body can actually interact with it differently to help us get better. So if any of you here has introduced any new product since the last 4 weeks, please type it into the group chat. And if you have experienced any new experiences after using that new product, you can also type it in and we can discuss that as well. Now, and the other thing is to remind every single one of you, which I always do anyway, if you can, try and do as much as possible, the journaling in your TLS journal, or for those of you who in Malaysia that may not have the actual journal book, you can do it into the Excel spreadsheet, or go onto the TLS website to learn the different types of menu plans, to do a variety of different foods, because the spice of life is from variety. Okay, and then of course, if you are finishing off some of the supplements, whether it's your local one or if you need to get it from apart from where you are, let's say if you're from Australia, you can get some from Global. If you're from Malaysia, I know that it's a little difficult now that we've got the lockdown to get things from Singapore, but if you can, that would be something that will be helpful. And of course, stress management and reduction is something we really need to talk about, which we will talk about tonight, in order for us to be getting a better health and lifestyle, because stress is one of the 5 factors. In fact, last month when we had the meeting, we talked about the 5 factors. What are the things that actually cause us to actually accumulate body fat or visceral fat? Include stress, include sedentary lifestyle, processed food, or lacking varieties in life, as well as of course the type of food that you eat. And auto-ship is something that you can use in order for you to be not stopping some of the supplements. Okay, so when we talk about body plateau or plateauing in terms of your weight loss, that is by far one of the most challenging obstacles that when people are trying to lose weight will go through, which I'm going to be sharing in a little while. Okay, now here you can see on the right hand side of the slide here, challenges are what makes life interesting, and overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. So when we are thinking about challenges, difficulties, or crises, all we normally think about very difficult things that we can't handle. But seriously, I've seen so many amazingly successful and strong people in different areas of their lives. They have been through a lot of challenges. Because of that, their life has become so much more interesting and strong. Not only that, because of the fact that they are able to overcome the challenges, their life becomes more meaningful because they then have a lot more purpose in being able to help others. So that's what I would like you to think about when you think about the difficulties that you're going through when you try to lose weight or be healthier or reducing some illness. Don't think of it as only difficulties or crises. Think of them as something that will make your life more interesting and meaningful, okay? And then when you think about overcoming obstacles with your health, be sure not to skip your breakfast. I know that there are a lot of trainings out there with intermittent fasting and different types of fasting that has been used for helping people to lose weight. Yes, if you're able to actually do it to the T, I actually have a video about that, then there is likelihood that it can help you get weight management better. However, if you're not the type of people that are able to follow things to the T or have a lot of discipline, then definitely not a good idea to skip meals. Particularly breakfast. The reason being, when you've been not eating for the whole night, when you wake up, your body composition becomes, sort of empty. You don't have any food already, and then you will go into a hunger mode. When your body goes into a hunger mode, and if you don't eat some nutrients or feed yourself with some good nutrients, even nutrition shake is good enough. If you don't have that, then your body will store fat, which is very not a good thing for us if we want to lose weight, right? Okay, and the other thing is portion size is another obstacle nowadays. If you compare 30, 50 years ago, a burger in 1977 to now in 2020, the size has become so much bigger, as you can see, as well as like pizza. And not only that, like the size and the type of ingredients that are put in there also has a lot to do with what's causing us to have fat storage. And so portion size is very important. That's why when you are actually looking at a meal, you need to look at the right portion to be put in it. So that's why I've actually sent this to you before. When you look at the type of food that you eat, we always talk about protein and fiber or vegetable in every meal makes losing weight no big deal. So when you think about protein, and that would be things like fish, poultry, or white meat, that would be about 1 palmful, okay, 1 palmful. So that means when you open your hand, 1 palm is 1 serving, okay? And then when you think about vegetables, that would be 1 fist. Fist is when you close your hand, that size is 1 fist, which is 1 cup, okay? So that is 1 serving. And then when you think about nuts and raisins, which are all part of fiber, you have a bit of a handful, not the full palm, but only that little bit of a handful, okay? And of course, we don't recommend you eat chips, popcorns, and all that. But let's say if you're on a flex meals or you're already in continued commitment, you can actually have 10-20% of your meals to be indulgent. But this is only, again, for people that have already reached their ideal weight. If you haven't reached your ideal weight or body fat percentage, then I wouldn't recommend chips, popcorns, and pretzels. But for those that are, then 2 handfuls, which is a little bit on the left and right hand, is okay. Now, peanut butter can be used every now and then if you're in sure and steady continued commitment, as 1 serving is about the size of a thumb, and you can see that. And if you want to actually have a little bit of butter and sugar, then the tip of the thumb, only the tip of the thumb, okay? So this is the portion size. So let's say if you're gonna be eating some protein like a fish or meat, one serving is the palm size, okay? So for, let's say, Sure and Steady or Rapid Results and Fat Shredder, each of these meals, you would be having different, number of servings. So you need to go back. Of course, you all should know by now what, menu plans you're on, whether you're on Fat Shredder, Rapid Results, Sure and Steady, Continued Commitment. Based on that, then you work out how many servings per day. Okay, so that's what the portion size is very important, because portion distortion, meaning you have a lot more portion than what you should for the day, would cause you to put on weight for sure. And so now I would like to go through a little bit of reality check with every single one of you. And as I go through each of the slides, I would like you to type into the group chat if you feel like these are the things that are causing you to be facing obstacles or challenges, if you have that, okay? So then that way, I would love to be able to give you some feedback and coaching points for you to look at how you can overcome these obstacles. So here we go. First thing is, okay, have you ever said to yourself, I will be happy when I'm at my goal weight? Has anyone said that? If you've said that, you can just put in yes, right? No? Yes, no? Well, I know this is a very common thing, because people say, well, I'm so unhappy because I'm so far from my goal weight, and it's still another 50 kilos, 30 kilos, 10 kilos, 5 kilos. But the thing is, when you are thinking about obstacles, I would like you to think of it not as only when you reach the destination, okay? What I would like you to actually reframe your mind, you know how last week, Kathleen gave us a really good example, which I actually talked about in last week's homework video about, forming a good habit. That is reframing. Reframing is a psychological way of helping you to actually do and say no to something without having to be trapped in it. So, Kathleen's husband said to Kathleen, well, you can't have KFC. And Kathleen said, yes, I can have KFC, but I choose not to because, what did you say, Kathleen?
I said because I want to stay healthy.
Exactly right? So see, guys, that is the great example that Kathleen has used what I've taught last week to be applying it. And I want you guys to do the same thing. It's not that I cannot eat this and that and the other thing, but you say, yes, I can, but I choose not to. So when you reframe, this is what we call reframe, then you know that you have a choice, but you choose not to because I want to be healthy. Well done, Kathleen. So proud of you. And it's the same thing when you have this mindset that, oh, I will only be happy when I'm at my goal weight. Then your mindset should be reframed to, all right, I don't need to be at my goal weight to be happy, but I'm actually on my way to my goal weight. So the point is, it's not so much about the destination, but the process along the way, the experience that you're building, and the journey that you're going through. You should be happy already because you are already doing what it takes for you to be getting healthier and healthier. So instead of saying, oh, I will only be happy when I'm there, you can tell yourself, right now, Brian, you can say, right now I'm happy because I know I've done so much better compared to where I first started. I'm not at my goal weight yet, but I'm happy about how I'm going. And I know I will get there. Can you see the difference, Brian?
Yeah, yes.
Very important. And it's the same with Adeline and Selena, because this is by far one of the most common thing that we say to ourselves, you know, it's not only just about weight, it's about, I mean, for those of us who are in business, I will only be happy when I'm at a certain amount or a certain level, or I will only be happy when I am able to buy a certain car. But don't ever think like that, because that will make us feel like we'll never get to where we want, or we're not there yet. But to think about where I am right here, right now, I'm happy. But I know that I can actually get better. I'm, you know, enjoying the process. So the process along the way, the journey, and the friendship build, and all of that, so important. And so even right now, you haven't made it to the goal weight, you can already tell yourself, I've done really well. So give yourself a pat on the shoulder, every single one of you, because you are already where you are doing the TLS 12 weeks much better off than those that chose not to do it. Yeah, proud of you all. And then the second thing is, some people say, I need a shortcut to make it easier. Well, this is another thing. Really, there is no shortcut. Everything that is given to you as the tips and the system through TLS is actually something, if you follow the 4 pillars, you know, the 3 areas and all those that you are already doing. You can call it a shortcut, but really, all of that is given to you in a silver platter. If you are able to remember those 4 pillars, the first is glycemic impact eating. So whatever plan that you're on, you follow those plans. All right, whether it's a fat shredder, rapid results, assurance steady, and or continued commitment. So that's that. And then the second is the body composition, your exercise, the kind of, you know, workout that you do. Number 3 is the scientific supplementations. What supplements are you using to help you? Yes, if you are using certain supplements, but there is still something missing, then we can actually look at it. But don't look at every single one of the things as a shortcut. And then finally is education. What you've been given right now, you know, every single day on WhatsApp, on, you know, Facebook group, or coaching like this, or the videos are all part of it. So you've been given all you need in order to be able to reach your final destination. But while you are doing it, you are getting there. So don't have to think about shortcuts all the time. Yeah. And there are people who may say their obstacles is, I'm fearful that I can't do this. How many of you have ever said that or thought about it? I'm fearful that I can't do this. Oh, this is so hard. Like I've got, anxiety thinking about this, or I can't do this, I can't do that, you know, or fearful. Well, really, a lot of people, if they say things like this, is actually an excuse, because 99% of the failures come from people who actually have, you know, the habit of making excuses. And it's true, because if we are able to not let excuses stop us from reaching our success, then there shouldn't be any fear. Okay, if you do have fear, then remember, fear, F-E-A-R, is false evidence appearing real, F-E-A-R. So that means it seems like there's evidence that you cannot do certain things or reach, you know, a certain weight or body fat composition, or be able to wear that skinny jeans or like black dress, or be healthy, or whatever it is. But as long as you don't let all this excuses and difficulties stop you, you'll be able to get that. And then many people say, oh, I will lose my patience if it takes too long. You know, the reality of the matter is that, you know, impatience actually something that will actually make our journey a lot longer. Because if you're patient, then you will be able to do what needs to be done. And there are easy ways to get a mobile phone, like this guy said, but then seriously, if you can be patient, it's not a matter of if, but when you'll be able to get there. So be patient is something that we all need to learn in order to be successful in any endeavor. And okay, how many of you actually during the last few weeks or months of doing TLS experience setback? If you have, can you put a yes for me? Anyone at all has experienced any minor, major, medium setback, meaning you've gone through some difficulties, obstacles. Indeed, right? Like, no doubt about that. If you didn't put a yes there, then I doubted that you've even tried. Because, you know, I can assure you, anything that is worth doing is worth experiencing setback. The reason is, when you actually, you know, have certain things you want to achieve, there is always curveballs that throw at us, as they call it, meaning obstacles, right? So, and these things are the things that will cause us to give up. Again, what I'm talking to you about as a mindset sort of training is not only just about weight loss, of course. In the context of transition lifestyle system weight loss solution, what we're talking about, the obstacles of setback, is if we want to lose weight, if we want to be healthy, but it applies to anything. So yes, we've got every single one of us, a lot of us have actually said yes, because really, whether it's minor setback, whether it's medium or, you know, major setback, the reality is there is nothing that is worth doing that we will not be going through obstacles. That is really something, if you've lived longer than like 10 years, even kids would tell you that, right? Very, very important for us to understand that. And what about procrastination? Meaning you don't want to do it today, you want to do it tomorrow, and you want to procrastinate, meaning being lazy. Oh, I'm so tired, I don't want to exercise today. Oh, it's so much easier to just buy fast food. Oh, it's so much easier to, you know, just grab something easy rather than preparing meals. So all of these things can be obstacles, but the thing is, if you are able to stop procrastination, then you will be able to reach your success. And just like this picture, right? Procrastination is an empty frame, and then the person said, I'll find a picture for it later. So if you want to actually have a better picture, just like when you want to have a better result for your weight management, your goals, your health, then don't procrastinate. Procrastination is certainly one of the biggest obstacles for many of us when we're going through, you know, certain, you know, dreams that we want to achieve, right? Yeah, that's right, Yvonne. And then, I mean, many of us actually have another, you can call it excuse, or you can call it, you know, wanting to please others, saying that I can't disappoint others. Do you have that kind of mindset? Well, I used to come from a background where I don't want to disappoint people, and I always want to please others. I want others to be happy. So then if, let's say, others tell me, oh, Kitty, you should eat this and that and the other thing, and they are not necessarily healthy, because I don't want to disappoint them, then I would eat those things. How many of you experienced that? I'm sure that you have. And so that's why being able to not disappoint others can be difficult, but at the same time, if you disappoint others, then if you don't disappoint others, then you will disappoint yourself. So if you want to be, you know, healthy, then sometimes you've got to say no to people. Have you heard of the term frenemy or friendly enemies? Well, what is frenemy or friendly enemies? They are the people who tell you things like this. Let's go out for drinks. Well, I'm sure you want some of this unhealthy food, junk food, processed food, you know, chips, Doritos, whatever it is. Or, come on, what do you mean you don't want the second pieces of chocolate or seconds or something? Now, these are the people from the outside onset seems to be friendly to you, but then whatever that they're encouraging you to do are not necessarily good for you while you're going through weight management. So then you've got to be careful and not let them influence you negatively. All right, so that's why I want to again applaud Kathleen, because her husband said, okay, well, you can't have KFC. And she said, I can, but I choose not to because I want to be healthy. And I know that KFC is not healthy for me. So instead of, giving in and have KFC with others, she did not do that. So that's amazing. Or there may be, even our loved ones, the people that love us most would say something like, oh, I made this especially for you. They may have done that. They may have made some beautiful, yummy, but unhealthy thing for you, right? Or it won't hurt you just this once. But then the thing is, a lot of times if you eat something unhealthy once, then you would go for a second time, third time, fourth time. I think you're just doing this to get attention from other people. Yeah, some people can use that as an excuse to try and, allure you into eating something unhealthy. So that's not nice. What do you mean you have to exercise? Well, why don't you skip this once and come on, we'll have fun. Let's not eat the healthy veggies or whatever it is. And you become so boring. You started this health kick. So there are many things that our friendly enemies can say to us that cause us to then be falling off the wagon from what we are set out to do. So that's why it's something that we need to be aware of. And what about you feel like, oh, I hate change. I'm afraid to make the changes I need to make in my career life or lifestyle change in terms of my healthy journey. I mean, by now, this is already week 9. You probably have already sort of gotten used to the changes of TLS. I hope you have. That means you've gone through, already 2/3 of this course already. And if you haven't, that's okay. You can continue. I mean, after these 12 weeks, and if you still want to continue, you can keep on doing it with me. But seriously, the most difficult part is generally the first 4 to 6 weeks, the first 30 days, the first 6 weeks. So once you actually gone through those and you were able to follow it, then the changes don't seem to be as difficult already. And what about you don't like to change, or that you have different emotions that get in the way? But as I mentioned, that's why it's very important for us to get through, the different mindset challenges in order to overcome all these obstacles. So when it comes to emotions, this is actually something I would really like to draw your attention, because the cycle of emotional eating is very, very rampant. There are different types of eating. There is emotional or stress eating, and there is, different types, but this is by far one of the most difficult types of eating for people to actually not being able to lose weight or get to their ideal healthy lifestyle. So let's have a look. The top right-hand side, let's say you have a triggering event or situation. Let's say, okay, when you get to a point where you suddenly find that you've got weight gain, and then when you have this weight gain, then you say, okay, well, it's so hard, then I'm gonna eat a forbidden food. And upsetting comment from someone saying, oh, you're fat, you don't look good, and whatever it is. So this can be any one of these things that we call triggering event. What is triggering event? Is an event or a situation that causes you negative emotions. So when that happens, then what you will experience after that is uncomfortable emotions and thoughts, and that also leads to negative feelings and stress and lack of control. Don't know about you, but I've certainly experienced that. Whenever I have some triggering event that causes me to feel negative, then the emotions and the thoughts will cause the stress, and I feel like I lost control. Then after that, of course, when you feel negative, you want to feel better, and you need, to have more comfort after that, right? Then you eat to feel better, and that is what we call emotional eating. Often includes eating comfort foods. Comfort foods are generally the foods that are not healthy, and a sense of escape or detachment. So that's why it's sort of goes through a vicious cycle. And then when you eat comfort foods, these are generally the fast food, the so-called, processed food, yummy food that causes to feel like, emotionally you are being comforted. However, the result of eating all of these foods is you will feel guilty. You'll feel a sense of failure or disappointment because you feel disappointed that I've been trying to lose weight and eating healthy, and suddenly I follow the vegan and I've eat all these sugary food, all this junk food, and then you feel like, oh, I've lost control. It's terrible. And then as a result, you want to feel better again. And again, you want some more comfort. And all these things cause you to eat more, binge more, you binge eating, you eat more and more, unhealthy food. And because of that, some people, if they can actually stop it right there, then that's good, and they fall off their wagon, they come back on the horse, so to speak. But for majority of people, they not only cannot go back and stop it right there, they will temporarily abandon their healthy eating efforts. And I've seen some of my, students from TLS that have experienced that, they've not been able to stop their binge eating. That's why I always say it's so crucial for you all to actually write in your journal, because as a coach, when I read your journal, I know where you're at. I know that you're binge eating. Then I give you that extra bit of encouragement, praise, and push even, and challenge you to actually come back after that binge eating and say to you, come on, let's get back on. That's fine. You've actually went backwards, but now is time to be back on track. Then you will not be temporarily abandon your healthy eating TLS efforts and the TLS lifestyle. Because once you have, abandoned it, the ultimate negative experience is that you will completely abandon, your efforts and tell yourself, you don't care, I don't deserve to be healthy, I don't deserve to reach my weight goals, and feeling hopeless and helpless. Now, this is what we call the cycle of emotional eating. Emotional eating is so common and rampant. You don't want that. When any part of this, like you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts here in this whole cycle, every single part, if you can catch yourself and just nap out of it, then you can then get out of it and back on track. But if you can't, then it's so easy to go from the first to the second to finally completely abandon your effort, and you don't want that. That's why having a coach, having someone to support you, to be by your side is very important. Brian, do you want to say something? No?
No, it's good. What you're saying is all true, Kitty.
Okay, yep.
All good, yeah.
Good, okay. So then it says, okay, well, my emotions actually make me fat. It's true, make me eat or fat, because it's very common. So that's why, how do we cope with it, right? You cope with it by understanding if we are actually experiencing an event. It can be any event. It can be like an argument with your workmate, or like, a failure of an exam, or like, a fight with your husband or your wife. When that event happens, then if it is a threat, let's say it is a threat, which is a negative event, then you ask yourself, it is a threat? Okay, well, if it is, I'm actually arguing with my husband, then you say, yes, this is a threat. Then what you do is, can I fix it? Okay, can I fix it? Then, okay, well, I can fix it if I can just have a good chat with my husband, then you can solve that problem. But if you can't fix it, what happens generally is people go into emotional eating. That's why you realize that whenever you have different events that are a threat or negative, that are challenging and making you feel bad, would cause you to eat emotionally, for those of you who are emotional eaters. However, if you can go through this coping decision mechanism, then you'll be able to, again, similar to what I've shared previously with the emotional eating cycle, to stop right in the middle of it and be able to then cope with it and fall off the wagon, back on it, back on track. So important. Okay, so here is something I'd like to share with you, which is called consistency of conditions, which is equilibrium. This is actually a mindset that really works. So what that is anatomically, which is like in your body, is actually something that is inside your body, is to keep the internal body in constant condition, meaning no matter what happens outside of you, no matter what happens in your, outside environment, you are still able to have a constant condition inside, which is what we call equilibrium, surrounding you. So that means, whether, you're going through negative emotions, negative thoughts, like negative feelings, fighting with your colleagues, your boss, your loved ones, or failing, a test and exam, whatever it is, if we can actually learn the mindset of having a consistency of conditions inside and not let the external conditions affect you, then you'll be able to, of course, this is not something that easy to do, but then if you can aim to do that, then you catch yourself being surrounded by all these negative things, then you'll be able to stop. And in fact, if you do exercise, if you're able to relax, all of these things, it can actually help you to not let equilibrium, will let you to have equilibrium. And mindful living is also a very, very helpful thing for me personally when I go through negative things. Okay, so to answer the questions that we talked about previously is, what is plateaus? Plateaus in weight loss or your body plateau is something that happens quite a fair bit for people that have been through weight loss for a few months. And then they realize that they've been able to lose weight for a while, and then suddenly it just becomes plateau. Okay, so what is a plateau? A plateau is when you have had your body weight, or particularly body fat percentage, 4 weeks in a row, 4 weeks, okay, of around the same numbers. That is a plateau. However, if you have 1 week only that you haven't actually lost much, then it's not plateau, okay? It's just you being impatient. But if you see, that's why when I ask you to actually write in your journal every single week, if you report, your body weight and your body fat percentage, when you calculate that, your body composition, including your visceral fat, your muscle mass, everything, then you see the differences, then you can actually, find out whether it's a plateau or not. However, be sure not to only look at the number of kilos or number of pounds, because as I mentioned, it could well be that your muscle has increased, but then your body fat has decreased. And even then, you may feel like, okay, the numbers are more or less the same as the number of kilos, but that increase or decrease of number of kilos could well be, muscle. That's why body fat, visceral fat, body water percentage, because water can actually, if you drink a lot more water, let's say, can also cause you to be putting on the numbers on the scale, but it doesn't mean that you're on a plateau. If you don't have any weight loss, now inches loss is also something you need to be measuring, because inches or centimeters also has something to do with your body fat percentage. So if you realize, when you look back in the last 4 weeks, your weight, your inches, and your body fat have not changed much at all, let's say anywhere between 0.1 to 0.3 kilos, or 0.1 to 0.5 centimeters, then you are on a plateau. All right, so if that's something that is happening to you right now, then you are facing an obstacle in your weight journey. But don't fret, because because we have ways to help you overcome them. And I'm going to be sharing this with you. Even for those of you who are now watching, whether you're live here or maybe later on when you watch this recording again, you realize that maybe down the track, you have reached a plateau what I'm going to be sharing with you in the next few minutes will help you to overcome the plateaus. Make sure you do all of these things. And I've seen time and time again, a lot of my TLS students have been able to use those methods to then be going back to weight loss journey, okay? So make sure you take notes of this. Now, weight loss plateaus can be frustrating and demoralizing. I understand that because, you know, as some people would say, why is it that my scales don't budge? It doesn't move. Why is it that I've still been eating healthy? I've been exercising. I've been doing what I'm supposed to do. However, the scales still don't move. So because of that, you can feel frustrated, annoyed, and demoralized. However, they are really a normal part of a weight loss process. If you've been actually on a journey of weight loss for more than 3 months, it's highly likely that you would have a plateau one time or the other. And of course, for those people that don't have a lot of weight to lose, then they can get into their weight management goals within 3 months. Then plateau is not necessarily a problem because they most likely when they first start, they only have like 5 to 10 kilos to lose, and that's fine. But anyone at all that has more than 10 kilos, 20, 30, and even more to lose, plateau is seriously something very, very normal, okay? Nearly everyone experiences a stall, or we call it, you know, a pause in moving of the kilos or inches or centimeters at some point of their weight loss journey. So as I mentioned, the good news is that there are several strategies that you can take to begin losing weight again or losing your inches, centimeters, and body fat to achieve your goal weight, okay? So now here are 9 things that you can follow in order to go back into the weight loss train rather than weight loss plateau. Number 1 is redo detox cleanse. That is by far, I see, the most effective way for many of my previous students and clients who've been able to get back on track, and that is to redo detox. Now, many people say to me, well, I've started a 30-day jumpstart, I've started a 6-week, 8 weeks, or 12-week program, but then throughout the last 8 weeks, you've already gone through more than 6 weeks, then generally it's very important to go back to detox for 1 week minimum. Some people even do 2 weeks. So if you manage, measure, monitor, and see after redoing your detox week again, so let's say you realize, okay, last 4 weeks, my detox, last 4 weeks, my weight hasn't budged, my scale hasn't budged, then go back to detox. And go back to the detox power foods, the detox plan, rather than your existing rapid results, sure and steady, continued commitment, then I can assure you, you will then reset your body to be able to get to a point where you're ready to then go back to that journey. Number 2, increase exercise frequency or intensity. If possible, increase both frequency and intensity, depending on your time, of course. If you're very, very busy, then you possibly should increase just intensity, meaning instead of just doing walking or jogging, which is no low level intensity, then do high intensity interval, right? But if you have a little bit more time, then frequency means that instead of only doing 3 days a week, do 6 days a week. If you do that, then your plateaus will be, solved. So that's the number 2 method. Number 3 is track everything you eat. Now, if you have not been following the TLS tracker or the journal, definitely track every single thing every single day. Even you miss 2 or 3 days during the week, your mindset will already have gone through eating things on autopilot. You go through the motion, and that is no good. So if you are now on plateau, my recommendation and challenge to you is don't forget to journal. Okay, and not only not forgetting to journal, but don't forget to send it to me, and more better is to post it on WhatsApp for me to give you feedback. Okay, so that is very important. Number 4 is to manage your stress, which I'm going to be talking about a little bit later after this, because stress can actually cause our body weight to go on a plateau. So if you feel like you're stressed, then go about doing things that reduce your stress. Number 5, drink more water. Water is something that many people don't pay much attention to, but if you drink more water, that can actually flush out more of the toxins that can actually cause plateau as well. Number 6, spread your protein intake throughout the day. So say, for example, you normally have 2 or 3 eggs in the morning. Instead of doing that all in one breakfast, break down your egg to 1 egg in the morning, 1 egg in the lunch, 1 egg in the dinner, because of the fact that then your protein is spread out, then the plateau won't be all happening in one meal. So make sure when you actually, depending on your meal plan, if you have, you're supposed to have 4 to 6 protein for sure and steady, 2 to 3 for fat strata, just have 1 of each servings or 2 of each serving rather than 1 whole big protein serving in 1 or 2 of the meals, but spread it out, okay? Of course, including your snack, which is your protein shake, the nutrition shake. Number 7 is to get plenty of sleep. Sleep, just like stress, are 2 things, the 2 S's that will cause you to have, plateau. If you don't have enough sleep, the body will cause you to have ghrelin, the different hormones that will cause you to eat more, hence make you to be a lot more, easier to eat, to gain weight and plateau as well. Now, number 8 is body composition rather than scale alone. I talked about that. Don't only just look at the numbers on the scale. So going back to the previous slide, not only look at the weight, look at the inches, look at the body fat as well. So body composition altogether, not just the scale, which is the numbers of kilos. Last but not least is try and cut back on carbs or starches. Doesn't matter what menu plan. I know, of course, if you're on fat strata, sure and steady, you're not to have much carbs except vegetables, but starches and grains, try and cut back. And if you're on sure and steady, and if you are on plateau, then I would say reduce your starches and your grains to half. That will also help you. So take a picture of this or take a note and then do all of these 9 things. I can assure you, your plateau will then get back on track. Okay, so then the other thing is journaling. As I mentioned, people who keep daily records in journaling and share them with a coach will lose nearly twice to 4 times as much weight than those who don't. So make sure you send your journal records to me. And supplementation, as I mentioned, the 4 pillars of TLS, one of the things is supplementation. So let's say if you've got stubborn belly fat, I would recommend that you get tonalin from Global, which is a CLA, or Trim Tea, Trim Cafe definitely can help you, because if you are doing everything else, but if you're not actually having the right supplementation or just having isotonics only, then perhaps it's time for you to incorporate some extra supplements. Okay, but for those of you, of course, right now, with the pandemic, you may not be able to get, some of the supplements, then right now it would be a little difficult. But for those that can, for those of you who are in Australia, you can certainly get Global products like the TLS core that can help you, curb your cravings for starches, for carbs, and fat and sugar. And so very, very important, carbs and fat inhibitor. So then try and add those supplements. Number 3 is exercise. As I mentioned already, increase your intensity and frequency, both if possible. If not, then at least intensity. do more high intensity, but otherwise more frequency. 6-7 days a week is even better, because muscle dictates metabolism. Do more strength-based exercise. And detox, I mentioned already, because it cleanses your system. It can help you to cut back on your needs for those that are not good for your plateau, which is grains, dairy, sugar, starches, etc. Take inventory. If you're taking medication, your sleep and stress, then try and see how you're going with those, and write down what you eat in your journal, the supplements, your activity level, and change your routine, because changing your routine may mean that, if you add some new recipes, do some new exercise and get past different things, then you will be able to actually have a change of sceneries, then it will help you with that. Last but not least, very important for you to understand why you started TLS, because if you understand why, as I always say, at the center of everything is a why. If you know that, every single week, if you do your TLS journal, you would see that, in your week, it would ask you, it's important for me to manage my weight and live a healthier lifestyle, because I want to play with my kids. I want to be an example of my kids. I want to be able to fit into, a healthy weight. I want to make a difference to my community. I want to be whatever it is. Then that why will drive you to follow what you need to be doing with the 4 pillars of the TLS lifestyle. All right, so then next is managing stress. I've got certain points for you to be paying attention to, because as I mentioned, stress is something that causes many of us to get to a point where we feel really, emotional, but at the same time, will also cause us to gain weight. So first thing is our senses and our perception when we have stress will sharpen, and our blood flow will increase, our heart will beat faster, and will breathe more rapidly. And we want to urinate or empty our bowel even more when we are stressed. And our digestion will stop, and hormonal issues like cortisol, which is the stress hormone, will be released, and we will sweat more. So all of these things that I talked about actually are the result of stress. When this happens, then we really need to go through these things. We need to do one thing at a time, and to not have a lot of distractions, to simplify your schedule, and to move more, because the more you move, the more exercise that you do, then your stress will be reduced. And to develop a healthy habit is a good thing. Just like I mentioned a few times already, develop a new habit, like, eating a new type of food, menu, recipes, cook something healthy, quit something, one new habit at a time. And also to manage stress, one really good tip is to do something calming. What you do that can calm you down, exercise, natural setting and stuff like that. Simplify your finances can also help you. Have fun, with your loved ones around you. Get creative and declutter. And so these are the things that can actually certainly help you to manage your stress. And then finally, I just want to summarize what you will need to do with this last little 4 weeks before we end, this last third of our 12 weeks, and that is to have low glycemic impact eating, which is 50%, 20% is body composition, and 30% is behavior modification. So very important for us to understand nutrition, education, and the food choices, which we've been through, and our behavior modification, which includes mindset, like what we've just talked about, how to overcome obstacles, how to reduce and cope with our stress, and to change our habits and to develop new ones will help us to reduce any of the difficulties and obstacles that we face, and also have a healthier lifestyle. Because when we're talking about health, it's not only just about physical health. Our total well-being is spiritual, emotional, mental, and social as well. And body composition focuses on exercise and the importance of losing weight from fat storage, not just the number on the scale, like the fat storage, not just weight loss. And very important to remember that your life is a journey, not a destination. So as I mentioned just now, don't say to yourself, I will only be happy if I reach certain number of kilos, because the whole journey, you actually enjoy it. That will make you be more happy and cheerful and joyful. And as you go through your progress to measure, monitor, and adjust. So let's say you know that, or I monitor, I'm actually on a plateau, then I adjust what I need to do by adding some new supplements, by going through some relaxation techniques and moving, exercise more, eating protein and spread it out throughout the day rather than eating, protein in one big meal. And progress and change and stuff like that is very important. And again, these are the topics that we've gone through already. And if you haven't watched the homework video, I would highly recommend that you go back to either our WhatsApp group or the Facebook group. I've got all of the recording that I have put the homework in there for you to catch up on if you haven't watched them. So all of them include Jumpstart Your Success with the 7-day detox. So again, for those of you who are on a plateau or in the future, if you are going to go through a plateau, definitely go back to week 1 of the Clean Start 7-day detox to then jumpstart your success again, so that your plateau can be reduced, okay? Improving your metabolism, how to read labels, exercise, planning and dining out, nutrition, creating healthy habits, believing in yourself, overcoming obstacles, managing stress. So we've gone through all of these different topics. Very, very important for you to go back and do some more studies, and like some of you have done so well in writing down your learnings, your takeaways, go back to revise them, because it's not only one time only that you watch a video, and because what you learn, you need to apply. Learning without doing is not knowing, but learning and implementation is what causes transformation. Okay, so the 80-20 rule is once you get to continue commitment, then you can follow the TLS way 80% of the time. 20% you can then have a bit of indulgent and eat something very nice that you like. Kathleen asked a question. One of her obstacles is sometimes she like to eat certain things, because Kathleen, you're already in continued commitment. You can do that, and TLS is a lifestyle and you are worth it. So that's what I would like for you all to share your screen, if you don't mind, your video, so that I can see you all, and so that we can share. I'll just stop